topic. So today's topic is on winterizing your business. So I'm sure all of us have came to a client and said, I can't wait to list your home. Let's go ahead and set the appointment. And they've said, nope, we're deciding to wait till the spring, or same thing with buyers, right? And yet right now is still a really great time. I'm even starting to get all of those objections right now. I'm like, y'all, it's October, So going over how can you convey the value of listing or buying now versus waiting to the spring when all the competition. So I have some notes. I don't really have like an order that to go in. Do you want to start with buyers or sellers first?
Let's do sellers.
Okay, awesome. So for me, one of the things that I like to convey value in is that January is typically the month for relocation. End of the year, beginning of the year, especially for like taxes and things like that. Employers are moving their clients, moving their employees now. And so all of those out-of-state buyers, they have a need. And it's especially a matter of those higher up homes where like your executives or your higher ups in corporations, they're going to be moving right now. And so one of the things that I like to say, especially like, I don't know about your guys' market, but like, I know where specific relocations are coming from. And so when I say, when I'm talking to sellers and I say, hey, did you know that a specific amount of employees are coming here to DFW by the end of this year, from Lordstown, Ohio, because we have a big GM plant here and they're all transitioning from Lordstown, Ohio here to DFW, or the Toyota plant or Google, and they're all coming down here. And so conveying that value to sellers to say, those higher ups, your home is listed at $450, we would price it there. This home is going to attract a specific buyer, right? And that's going to be somebody that's a little bit higher up in a community, or in a company, sorry. So that's one of the things that I really like to hit on is relocation. What's something that you like to convey value with for sellers?
So I was thinking, every year around the winter months are actually my busiest months. So I always mention that to a seller when, one of my reasoning back with them is, well, it's actually my busiest months. And I feel as though jobs are a huge reason why people are moving, and I feel like they're more motivated, right? And with sellers, like they need to reach their goals within a certain time frame. So I feel as though it's so great to get with them because they're usually more motivated and they have to move because of a job, right? I was thinking about my sellers right now, or the ones that we are about to list within the next 30 days. And it's all because of a job. Most of it is because of a job, but I made some notes of these other people. Oh, divorce, death. And because someone actually just texted me before we got on this call, how she wants to be in this other school district for her kids because it's much better. And so there's like this real motivation there. So I tell the sellers, you're going to have much more motivated buyers. There's less inventory this time of year. You're not going to have that much competition. And so I think that's a huge value factor right there, is that inventory is lower.
Right.
Also,
go
interest rates, like we know interest rates right now, we know that they're very low for buyers. So they're able to afford more house. And I can't predict what it's going to be like in spring. It can't possibly get any lower. And I don't know what the interest rates are going to be like in spring. People might have a hard time affording this house at that time. I can't predict that. You know what I mean?
Right. What I like to say in regards to interest rates, this really helps me, is one percentage is a difference of 10%? of what they can afford.
Yeah.
And so when you put those numbers into perspective, like, okay, today with this interest rate, they can afford your home. If it goes up 1%, your home's no longer in their affordability factor.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's huge because we are so super low with interest rates right now.
Yeah, they really should take advantage.
Definitely. One of the things that I like to mention is that, especially the condition of their home, if their home is not in tip-top condition, or, they don't want to do any repairs, the value of competition is huge to hit on with them. To say that, in the spring, how many signs did you see going up for sale in your community? A lot, right? And so just imagine in the spring, you competing with all those other homes that are on the market. Do you want to compete with a home that has granite, wood floors, a pool, all of those things that they might have a, discovering moment to say, yeah, no, we don't want to compete with those simply because, we can't.
Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. So I definitely agree with you with the buyers being very motivated. And so, time factor always gets brought up, right? They're like, well, I don't want to move because then we have to inconvenience our family that comes in town for Thanksgiving, and then we go out of town for Christmas, and then what about the tree? You know what I mean? Like presents and all of those things. And what I like to tell them is that, hey, I can actually work with your schedule. Those days or those weeks where it might just be a little bit tougher, we can convey that to the agent and they can schedule accordingly. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that, yes, we're getting in front of all the buyers, but at the same time, you aren't having to inconvenience your entire family and extended family that comes into town.
Yeah. And I think buyers are a little bit more flexible. They're a little bit more understanding. Oh, okay, they have family in town. It's close to the holidays. They've got an event, all those things. They're a little bit more flexible in understanding. I will say here in Florida, a lot of people move here to retire. And when they're looking to buy, they're not coming here in the summer when it's so hot. Or in the spring, they're coming here when they're going to already be here during the winter months. And that's when they are looking. And that's a huge percentage of the buyer pool.
Yeah, I so agree with you on that. And if you think about it, like how many people are out on spring break looking at homes and, they're going to visit family in Dallas, looking at homes during their spring break. Same thing. They're here for the holidays visiting with their family. And guess what? They're taking time carved out of their schedule while they're here to look at homes. Don't let yours, not be on the market during that.
I feel like you have less looky-loos.
Yeah.
People are just like, oh, let's look. It's like during the holidays, they're just so much more serious. And closings still happen every single day during these months. It still happens. So it doesn't stop.
One of the things that I like to say is you can expect higher quality showings and fewer showings.
Yes.
So during the spring and summer, you might average, a showing every other day. And now you might average, 1 to 2 a week. And that's okay. They're going to be way more motivated buyers because they have a need now versus in the spring or summer as just a want.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they're taking the time to go out in the cold air, depending on where you're at, the snow, ice, whatever, to go look at homes. It's because they are dead serious and set on it. They're more motivated. Plus, think about it. How great does your home show in the winter, right? All the lights are up, all of your amazing Christmas decor, your poinsettias, like all of those like really nice plants and just colors and all of that.
Families coming, so.
Yeah, and it looks so good. So think about it. If we were to photograph it, those photos, we can bring out the, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go see this home. This looks like home to me.
Yeah, if sellers are like, oh, I'm going to be gone for, this day, these days during the holidays, I'm like, great. That's perfect.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
that's right.
We
I
would
don't
like
know.
you to be gone
Yeah,
and
no,
leave your beautiful furniture.
for sure. I mean, yeah, and then we can jam pack all of the showings in while you're gone, and then you won't even be inconvenienced at all.
Yeah. I think you get less lowball offers also. And I think sellers, they need to sell sometimes too because of tax purposes. And I will say that, this objection comes up. And I think, you are getting the tools right now to come up with some reasonings of why it is beneficial to sell during these months. But I feel like have confidence, be the professional, showcase these reasons, and they are going to believe in you. They're going to be like, yes, like you are totally right. I feel as though it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Like I could fumble through all these things that I have and all these really good reasonings, but if I don't show up with confidence and I'm quick about it, they're just going to be like, no, I'm just going to wait. But there are going to be times that, you could be so confident and they're still going to be like, no, I want to wait till spring for whatever reason. I think that's perfectly fine, and just keep showing up, providing value to them. Ask them if they need your vendor list. Make sure you do that walkthrough with them. See if how you can help them to get them their house prepared to sell, to set them up for success, so that when they are ready, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm calling Stevie. She's been over here a couple times. She sent me a Christmas card. She said Happy New Year. She gave me a painter.
That's right. It's the agent. We go over this almost every single phone call, right, Stevie? It is the agent that stays in front of them, whether they decide to buy, sell in a week, a month, a year, 5 years. They're going to do it with the agent that stays in front of them, and that's providing that value for them. So come prepared with statistics, I truly think that if you pull, spring versus winter, and you're able to show that just as many homes sell, and then the percentages of what they sell, like the ratios, that can provide a tremendous amount of value to get that, shift their mindset, because clearly they have a mindset that no, homes sell quicker and for more money in the spring, which is not entirely true. So showing up and providing that data to those individuals so that you're, again, being the go-to and being the expert in their eyes.
It's so funny because right before we got on this call, I was kind of thinking about like, what are we going to discuss? What can I do to bring value for these agents? And I was thinking, every year this definitely comes up. Buyers and sellers are saying that they want to wait until spring. And I was thinking, no one's mentioned this to me yet. It's still a little bit early. No one's mentioned me about this yet, but literally I just had this conversation with this woman. I helped her buy a house. I think it's been 2 years now, and she had said, so we have like 2 major counties here in Jacksonville, Duval and St. John's. And St. John's County, the school system is so much better. It's like night and day. And she has kids, and she was like, no, we love Duval. Like, it's okay. We'll put them in charter school. Everyone else is doing it, and their kids are fine, that whole thing. And she called me today and was like, okay, Stevie, we need to be in St. Johns County, but I'm worried about selling my house right now. And I was like, let's go. And so now I'm sending her listings, and I feel as though I showed up, I told her the reasonings, and gave her the tools, and was confident about it. It was like right away. She gave me this objection, and I was like ready to spitfire these off and tell her like, no, this would actually be a great time to sell and for you to buy, and I can help you with all of it. All those things. I feel like just have confidence. Practice what you would say. Hopefully you're making notes right now and you're jotting down these things, and just practice what you would say and how you would say it with confidence to that customer. And I feel like that's what's going to get them to make a move.
Definitely. What I like to do too, my team and I really focus on this, and that is writing, what would the objection be, whether it's for the buyer or seller. Just get a few just common objections, and then put a column of what your rebuttal would be to a seller and what your rebuttal would be to a buyer. And always start it with, I can understand that you think selling in the spring is a better time than in the winter. However, the benefit to you in listing now is that, and it's always about them and the benefit to them. And so when you're putting it out there in plain English and you're confident in what you're presenting to them, they're going to end up buying or selling, whichever it is, with you because you conveyed that value. And
you are so good with your objections. I got to tell everyone else this. I messaged Amanda twice this week about something about an appraisal and, the boomtown, like older boomtown leads. Right away, Amanda sends me a voice message back, and she was like, bing, bang, boom. That was it. And I was like, damn, that was good. And it's just like, it's not what you say. It's just how you say it. Like, I knew what to say.
Right.
And it was just like hearing Amanda be like so sharp about it and knowledgeable and to the point. And it's just like, okay, yeah.
Girl, everybody's going to think that I paid you to say that.
I swear to God, this is not sponsored. This is not an ad.
Affiliated business partner. That's funny. Yeah, but no, I totally agree with you. And it comes down to, you and I always talk about this at scripts. And again, knowing what and how to say it to position yourself and them in the best possible light. And so if that means that you have to take a second to write down your own scripts, even if it's just a one-liner, two-liner, do it. It's going to make all the difference. And once you practice them and go through them, memorize, internalize, you're going to feel so much more confident when you do pick up the phone for an expired and they say, nope, we decided to take it off the market because now's not a good time to sell. Well, what do you mean now's not a good time to sell? And my favorite is when they say, the market has slowed down. What market? My market hasn't slowed down. My business has picked up more than ever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love saying that about how this is the busiest time of year for me. And it really is.
Right. And providing those numbers to back that up.
Yeah. Was there anything else about sellers that we wanted to mention?
My only last thing about sellers was that, knowing what time frames, like I always let them know, like, hey, should we get an offer and they want to close before Thanksgiving, we have leverage and with the ball in our court to say, we would require a week or a 2-week lease back so that we could still have Thanksgiving here at the house and then move right after that. Lease backs aren't available in every state. I don't know what your guys' markets are like, but if they are, you can use that to your advantage so that your clients don't feel like they have to completely cancel Thanksgiving and it's their tradition. You know what I mean? Just make them feeling more comfortable that we can work with your timeline once we get an offer.
Yeah. I think you could, if someone doesn't want to sell, you could leverage this by having a pocket listing. So if you have potential buyers and you could mention this listing that these sellers are going to be selling soon and provide value for that buyer. Also, I network with real estate agents in my area all the time and mentioning it to them, putting it on Facebook. Hey, I've got this listing coming soon. Planting the seed for people. Also, I don't know, can you do coming soon campaigns on your MLS?
Yeah, we can. And that's a great point.
Yeah. So I'm going to start implementing that in my business and putting, if I can, sometimes it doesn't work out with timing, but this would be great for people who really aren't going to sell in the winter and they are only going to sell in the spring. They really want to wait. That you could use, hey, well, let me do the photos. Let's get things started. Let me do a coming soon in the MLS for you. For other real estate agents to have access to this, I can do coming soon campaigns. We can do Facebook ads. I can do all the things so that when we go live, I'm ready. It's just another way for you to provide value to that seller if they're really sticking to spring.
Definitely. 2 things on that, and then we can move over to buyers. One is that Amy said holiday decorations can hide imperfections, and so true, right? Yes, that is such a great point. And another thing is that I have a rock star agent on my team, Felicia, and she had gotten the seller to sign the listing paperwork now and get the photos done. so that when they do list it here in the next few months, the grass will be green, the plants will be bloomed, all of those things. And so it's just a conversation of, when you list with me right now, I'll bring the photographer out. We won't actually put it on the market until you're ready in another, 5-6 weeks or whatever their time frame really is. But your home is going to showcase and stand out amongst the rest because of the beautiful landscaping that you have. Sure, people are going to say, well, the house doesn't look like that now. It's about showing the potential of what the house could look like.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to buyers.
Yes.
So when it comes to buyers that are wanting to purchase in the spring versus the winter, so I hear this, and I think a lot of the times it has to do with taxes and them getting their tax return back. And so I let them know that, usually sellers are motivated to sell in the winter. And so I can negotiate closing costs for you, depending on if there's not a lot of competition, the home's been sitting on the market a little bit longer. It just really depends, right? You can have one neighborhood that still flies off the market, and you can have one that sits on it a little bit longer. Regardless, I can work out closing costs for you with home warranties, repairs. Sellers are a little bit motivated to do those things when their home is listed during this time. Again, it becomes a need and a want. Mm-hmm. And they usually need to. Ownership costs are still below rental costs. So, just conveying that, hey, I know that your lease is coming back up for a 1-year renewal. And think about this, with low interest rates, supply and demand drove down home sales for years and drove up rental rates. So chances are your landlord's going to increase your rent. Wouldn't you rather use that money towards a home of your own and having that home ownership? Plus with the, taxes and claiming homestead and all of those things. And like you said, interest rates are phenomenal right now. So there's no guarantee that they're going to stay this rate. And honestly, I don't even know that it's affordable for interest rates to go down even lower.
Yeah. It's just not.
Right.
I have heard someone recently tell me, they're like, well, I did hear that it was going to go a little bit lower. And I was like, how much lower can it possibly go? It can't. What are you waiting on?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and it's funny too, because when especially older people, when I'm like, what was the interest rate when you first purchased a home? You're like 16, 17%. Okay. So let me ask you this. It's at 3.5 right now, and you want to wait till it gets to 3.25?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about this.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing to mention, is that they are record-breaking low right now, and I really cannot predict what it's going to be like in the spring, especially when there is more buyers. I just don't know. I can't predict that.
That's right.
So that's just really something to think about, that you'll be able to afford more house at this time. And I made notes on what you just mentioned, that you're a little bit more flexible to negotiate. Not that buyers are running the show, running the negotiations or anything, but I feel like you are able to negotiate closing costs a little bit more. And that's a huge factor to people. Bring up that you might be able to negotiate more for them. Closing costs, home warranty, appliances. These sellers need to move. Usually there's a huge motivation. They're not listing in the winter to test out the market.
Right. They're doing that in the spring. That's exactly right.
Less competition. There might be a chance. I always mention how buyers, they get so overwhelmed. And I tell buyers this in a buyer consult. Buyers, they get overwhelmed when it's extremely competitive and it's multiple offers. I don't know why. I know it's an emotion, but it doesn't cost anyone anything to put in an offer, right? It's really just my time to write up the 10-page purchase and sale agreement and to try to negotiate this. But I always tell them, I want to prepare you with that expectation that it's very competitive in the spring. And I would rather take that stress away from you, and, it's just not going to be like that in the winter.
That's right. Especially if they're in a price point, with my market, 150, 175, 200, even low 200s, you know, you're still seeing multiple offers. And so if you're waiting, it's just like competition for sellers. There's not as many homes on the market. Well, guess what? There's not as many buyers in the market as either, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so if your goal is to purchase a home, get a great deal on it, and not have to compete, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, I think it's great representing buyers right now too, because they are more motivated as well.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure.
And I just think the same thing. Present these objections back to them with confidence, how this is the busiest time of year, that you're going to be able to negotiate all these things. Just be the professional and educate them, and they're most likely not going to wait.
For sure. And that affordability factor that we were talking about previously, you know, you brought it up, I brought it up. And so every time that rates increase and they raise 1%, a buyer can afford 10% lower sales price for the same exact payment. So if they're looking at a $300,000 home, I mean, we're talking 30 grand difference. So if your home was listed at, you know, $299, all of a sudden they're now looking at a home for $275, $260, because of that affordability factor. So don't bank on rate, you know, waiting for rates, because they're really at their all-time best. So yeah, so some of the strategies, when it comes to seeking out these individuals, I like to look at expireds that expired from the market, during like this time last year, during the spring. Those are great times to say, hey, I know that you tested out the market back then. What was the response like? Okay, here's what we're going to do differently, because you had a need back then to sell your home. And so I'm going to show you what's going to be done differently to get it sold now, because we are still in such a great market.
Yeah, I like it.
I always say, if your intentions are to capitalize on the great market that we're in now, then you need to act. And by acting, that means you and I sitting down, going over a marketing strategy, a pricing strategy, and getting it exposed onto the market.
Yeah. I feel like these are some really good tools for other people. I don't think a lot of people do training on this or really give out these resources.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And you know what? I think that so many agents, they believe that, yeah, you know, now isn't the time to sell.
Right.
And so that's not being the market expert. That's not you being the professional by doing that, just because, you know, it's winter. And so when you're really conveying that value out, it's going to stand out. And so, you know, just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say, well, actually, I'd like to challenge your mindset.
I definitely felt that way. When I first started, I was like, okay, yeah, we should wait till spring. But then through experience, I never really heard of people talking about this before, like reasonings why it's beneficial to list, buy and sell in the winter. But just from experience and what I've seen, I'm like, okay, inventory is a lot less. Oh, interest rates are really low right now. You know, all these reasons that we've been giving you, I've just like learned that over the years, and it is true.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And so many people are willing to give incentives, right? Like lenders are like, oh, if you close before the end of the year, we'll pay for your appraisal. Or, you know, like everybody's trying to do something just to get those few extra units closed. Right? Everybody's trying to hit their goal. Yeah. And so, hey, if I could show you a way where you could save, you know, with your appraisal, or you could save, you know, this or that, or closing costs, you know, wouldn't that be beneficial for you? What would saving X amount of dollars do for you and your family? You know, asking those motivating questions to them.
Yeah. And regardless, if they are a stickler and they still don't want to list in the winter, just follow up with them. Provide value, make sure that they are going to think about you when spring comes.
That's right. I use the website Trello, Trello. It's basically like a Pinterest board for your business. It's amazing.
I haven't heard of it.
Oh, you're going to love it, Stevie. And so what I have on there is I have a board and it's called Future Follow-Ups, and I have a card for every single person. So I can put their name, number, email, and then like notes, like talk to them this day, sent them Christmas card this day, all of those things.
Yeah.
Just to like, because I have some leads in Boomtown, like I just kind of have them like here and there, and I don't want to lose these people.
Yeah.
I want to stay in front of them. So that's where I keep them.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
Oh my gosh, you're going to love it. Just like on Pinterest, where like you have like a different pin, right?
Yeah.
For like different things. Well,
it's
like
each
person, is a pin, basically.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I do that. And I actually use that for my transactions too. So I have like my coming soon active.
Oh, nice.
On your contracts. But then at the front of it, there's future follow-ups there.
See, I love this call because I learned so many things.
I know. We both just feed off of each other, and it is so awesome.
Yes.
Last piece of advice with winter. So you as a realtor working in the winter is pick up your phone, return voicemails. You wouldn't believe how many people actually take the winter off. Like literally stop working. And so if you are Johnny on it, picking up the phone, texting back, returning voicemails, they're like, oh man, this girl's going to work for me despite the seasons going on right now.
A lot of agents check out. I feel like October 31st, it's like they trickle off.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep going.
Oh yeah. Like, here I am. You're like, you want to go see it in this ice storm? Give me an extra 30 minutes, okay?
Gosh, I cannot imagine being a real estate agent up north with like snow and all the things.
Yeah, I know.
It's so crazy.
I hear you. We had it got a little cold today, and I had a jacket and scarf, and everybody was like, okay, slow down, cowgirl. Like, I was like, well, okay, it might have been a little extreme, but
yeah,
you can't be too prepared when it comes to cold weather.
I heard that there is a cold front coming this weekend, and I am so freaking excited. It's so hot here in Florida, and doing showings, I'm like sweating profusely. It's so hard to look professional. So I'm like so excited.
For sure. So does anybody have any questions? I saw that, what is the name of the webpage? We put in there Trello.
Oh yeah, you wrote
Marisol said, thank you guys so much, ladies. Seriously, love you guys.
Oh, yeah, hopefully this was beneficial and we some good
I just want to open it up for questions for just a minute to see if anybody does have anything so that we're not missing out. It's going to snow tomorrow here in Michigan on Halloween. Thanks again. You two are the best. You are so welcome, Kristen. And you know what's so funny about that? I'm originally from Ohio. And so I always say, like, we had to strategize our Halloween costumes. Like, it was either going to be like 80s and sunny, or it was going to be like 30s and snowing.
Yeah.
You always had to like pick the appropriate costume.
Gosh, I lived in Minnesota, and I feel like I didn't care. Like, I did not care about the cold. I feel like when you're a kid, you're just like, whatever.
Yeah. That was so true. Okay, well, I don't see any questions, but if you guys do have anything at all, you know where to find us.
We would love to know your feedback and topics for next week.
Definitely. We always get together on Monday and we say, okay, what topic would be beneficial for, the majority of everybody that we're talking to? We know that the majority of you all are experienced agents. So if it's negotiations or following your schedule, just whatever it is, let us know, because we want to help you and we just want to share what we use and then hear from you to see, what you can share back with us. So we thank you guys so much for hopping on this call. Stevie, thank you always for the great content.
Yes. All right, guys.
All right. Everybody have a great rest of your week. Bye.